The sound of running water in a bathroom sink takes me back to when I was 10 years old. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my grandparents lived an hour and a half away in Luzerne Mines, Pennsylvania. Well, my grandparents had raised 7 children, and they loved their grandchildren. So they would come to Pittsburgh and gather us up and take us to boot camp. Boot camp. Yes, I said boot camp because that is what we call grandma and granddad's home in the summertime. Now, grandma, she worked us out like we were in boot camp. Every day we had a new chore. On Mondays, it was wash day. On Tuesday, it was ironing. On Wednesday, it was dusting. But we had a good time. And we learned so many things that we would never learn in Pittsburgh. We climbed trees and picked pears and apples and peaches. And grandma would take the fruit that we picked and she would make us cobblers. Oh, cobblers and preserves and jellies. And at the end of the summer, we would take a box home with all those goodies. But my favorite was picking blackberries. I loved blackberry cobbler. So we had a wonderful time. And we learned how to make lye soap. And we learned how to crank and make homemade ice cream. So it was great time. Now this summer, Grandma said her friend, Miss Essie, was going to give us a job. And that job would be at the fairgrounds. And so we woke up one morning and we met Miss Essie at the fairgrounds, Miss Jessie at the fairgrounds. And you know what she gave us? She gave us a bucket, some rags, some gloves, and a broom. And then she took us to a bathroom. And she assigned each of us a bathroom. Now she said, you have to keep this bathroom clean. You have to clean the toilets, clean the sink, and make sure that the, area looks good and smells good. Well, we were bathroom attendants. Now, while we are attending the bathrooms, the white families and their children were going through the fairgrounds. And they were having a good time. They were going to the 4-H exhibits. And then they were smelling all of these aromas in the air, fresh made popcorn and onions and green peppers on the grill that they could put on sausages and they could put on hot dogs. And then the sound of French fries being dropped in the grease and that sizzle, you know what I'm talking about. But there was one other thing that those children got a chance to do, and that was to have a waffle cone full of soft serve ice cream. That was looking pretty good. Well, there was another thing that the children got a chance to do, and that was to run back up the hill, put on their swimsuits, and jump in the pool. Now, Grandma had already told us Negroes don't go in the pool. They're not allowed in the pool. Well, it was time for lunch and we sat down with Grandma. We'd have bologna sandwiches and maybe a piece of pound cake and maybe some sweet potato pie and some Kool-Aid. So after we got full on lunch, it was time for us just to have maybe 5 or 10 minutes that we could run and play. Well, we got up from lunch and we ran down to the pool. We got to the pool and we stuck our fingers through the steel fence and pressed our face up against the fence. And we stared. We stared at those children having a good time, laughing and jumping in the pool and enjoying the water. And I wondered, what is it about being a Negro that keeps us from going in the pool? And I wondered, why are they in there having fun and feeling that cold water on their skin, but we're out here sweating, dripping on our face and down our back? I wondered, what is it about this chocolate skin? Are they afraid that it's going to rub off? Are they afraid that it's going to turn the water chocolate? I just didn't understand. But then it was time to go back to work. I ran up the hill, went to my bathroom, and I decided I was going to have some fun. So I turned on the faucet and I let that cold water run and run and run until it got icy cold. And then I reached down in the water and picked up some water and splashed my face. And I did it again, splashed my face until I started laughing and giggling and having fun. I guess I was trying to splash away the hurt and the pain and the confusion, because I couldn't understand. Just an hour and a half away in Pittsburgh, I went to school with white children. I played at recess with white children, and our school had a pool. And the Negro children and the white children got in the pool together and learned how to swim. I just didn't understand. I tried to splash away that pain. Water was everywhere, on me, in my hair, on my clothes. I had made a mess, but it was my mess to clean up. And so as I cleaned up that mess, I realized I didn't know anything about that word racism back then, but I did realize the pain that I felt because I couldn't get in the pool. And so I tried to forget the story, tried to release it, but then I realized it's a part of me. And so I tell it to my husband, I tell it to my children, I tell it to my grandchildren, and hopefully one day, God willing, I'll tell it to my great-grandchildren. No, I couldn't get in a pool. Yes, I cleaned toilets, but I also learned how to deal with injustice. I found my joy. No one can take your joy. Always find your joy.